Hello, everybody. It is me, Mitrice, and I am sitting here with Donovan, recovering Democrat Saadiq, also known as the Black Yul Brenner. And we are live. Earlier, we were not live. It was our podcast, but we are live today. And we are going to continue talking about Miss Kamala Harris, I should say Vice President Kamala Harris, who has decided to seek the presidency of the United States on the Democratic ticket after it was announced by that of Joe Biden that he would not be seeking re-election, as a lot of people suspected something is going on with him cognitively, even though that wasn't, addressed. That's the speculation. Okay. So now we have a lot of people who are very excited about the presidency, or, potential presidency of Kamala Harris, but then there's some is like, not so fast. So before we get into that, I'd like to say the purpose of the Mitrice Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. I'd like to also say a big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you viewers, but you are family and participants. And sometimes we do share the link so that you can come up and express your opinion. Today, I'm only asking for those who want to defend Kamala. And as I said to several people on my pages today, that if I see you in my comment section and you do not click this link, I am going to block you, because I am tired of you and your thumb thugging and basically harassing me at this point in regards to Kamala Harris. So today is your last opportunity to come up here and click the link. If you do not do that and I see you, I am going to block you. Also ask that if I've never seen you on here before and you look like this, please show me your face so that I can verify that it is you. And then you can go back to that if you feel comfortable before I bring you up. Just know that nobody but me, not even Donovan, can see you before I bring you up to the big screen. I also ask that we are respectful in the comment section and on the panel. Also ask if you guys have a question in the comment section, because it's becoming a lot of us in here that I can't address everybody like I used to. But if you have a question, just make sure that it's a question. I will try to get to it. So put a Q. Thunder's really good at doing that as for questions or whatever. So I'm going to try to address those and say hello to everybody as I can. Let's see here real quick before I get into it. Kara, how you doing? Judge, what's going on? CJ, what's going on? Quita, your average logical thinker. Miss Sweet Talks, Mike, nice. Brother Don, Easy E. Who else came on? More threads. How you doing? Daryl Jinx, how are you? And so far, that's all I see on here. And of course, Donovan. So what's going on with you, brother?
Welcome, you guys. This is the Mitrice show. I'm glad to have you guys back. Demetra, welcome back. It's been a while. I mean, people have been waiting for you to come back. It's almost like being on an addiction. You got to start your day with Mitrice. So do us a favor, you guys. We've got a scrolling banner at the bottom there. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, check, money order, cash. All those things help keep the content creator motivated to make more and more great videos. Also, don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get that on Google Play and also on the Apple Store. This is going to be a very, very good video. We're going to really talk about this because this is something that's really dear to my heart, and it broke my heart at the way that this young lady's murder is still unsolved. So Demetra, let's get into it.
All right. So, of course, you guys know that there's a lot of information going forward, pro and con, about that of presidential candidate and Vice President Kamala Harris. Of course, there's a lot of people who are very excited about her potentially going to the White House as the first woman and or Black, Asian, American, Indian woman to pursue and actually get the presidency of the United States. But then there's a lot of people like Donovan and I and a lot of you who are saying, wait a minute, not so fast. Kamala is a very problematic person. So in our last segment, we referenced that of Mitrice Richardson, but we decided to really give it a good conversation for this time that we'll be here with you. So as y'all see behind Donovan is a beautiful young lady, Mitrice Richardson, who was 24 years old in 2009, September to be exact. So on September 16th, 2009, she left work early. And the people who saw her at work said that she was kind of, giddy, maybe more so than normal. But anyway, she left in her Honda Civic down Pacific Coast Highway, and she ended up at a, I guess, a high-end restaurant called Joffrey's in Malibu. And they said that she sat down and she ordered food and things like that. And then while she was there, she was kind of saying some things that didn't make any sense. They said she was speaking in number language, and that she ended up joining another party that was at the restaurant. And they said they were kind of like, is she a waitress? Like, what's going on with her? Like, who is she? Because they noticed that she was just saying things that just absolutely did not make any sense or anything like that. And so then she spent a couple of moments or so with them. And then she got up to leave, but she got up and did not pay her tab, which came to about $89 or so. And so the waitress stopped her, like, yo, you need to pay or whatever. And then Mitrice was like, oh, God is going to take care of it. And, was saying some things that just really didn't make sense. They said she was saying stuff like she was going to, have relations, if you will, with Martians and just stuff that just really didn't make any sense. So the waitress said her, along with a lot of other the wait staff and things, were like, hey, let's just raise this money and pay the tab because clearly something's wrong with her. But I think it was the restaurant manager was like, no, we really can't let her go because something's wrong with her, right? So they decided to call the police. The sheriff's department is actually what it was. And they did. And they told them, hey, there's a young lady here, for lack of better words, and she seems to be a little off. The word that they used was crazy. So the sheriff showed up a couple moments later or so, and they assured the wait staff at Joffrey's that she would be going to get help. And so that's where they left it. And so I guess the sheriff took about if I understand, a 20-minute drive to the Calabasas station. But before she got there, her mom, Mitrice, called and said, hey, I understand that my daughter's en route. You guys basically let me know if you guys are going to keep her or are you going to let her go on her own recognizances. And the jailer was kind of like, yeah, okay, that type of stuff. So her mom was kind of reassured, thinking that, they wouldn't just let her go because, mind you, it was in the middle of the night at this point, right? And her mom even made a comment saying, because, she doesn't have her keys. They told her car, her purse, or anything, right? And phone, nothing. So I hate for y'all to let her go. And, we find her with her head, missing in the middle of the desert, But she says that haunts her to this day because she's like, did I speak that, out there? Whatever the case is. But nevertheless, the sheriff department made the decision to let her go. They were, on I guess her own recognizance, even though her mom was like, yo, hold her because something clearly is not right with my daughter. Please do not let her out. She doesn't live around there. Sounds like she lived 40 miles away from that area. She doesn't have any money, car, phone, nothing. So don't let my daughter out. But they did anyway. And one of the sheriffs there, she says, well, we asked her if she wanted to stay. And she said no. So they let her go because she was an adult, 24 years old at the time. So nevertheless, a couple, maybe an hour or so later, a neighbor in the area, so I think they said it was about 5 miles or so away from that, called to say, hey, there's a slender, African-American lady in our backyard. Now, mind you, they let her go at about midnight. The sheriff did. So they said there's a slender African-American lady, in our backyard, and she has, her afro type of thing. Can y'all, come see what this is? Because they asked her, if you're all right. And she said, yeah, I'm fine. And when they looked up again, she was gone. So they said that took a couple of hours for the sheriff to come even, investigate that or anything like that. Okay. So obviously at this point, her parents, Mitrice and her father, Michael, and her auntie, and everybody's just like, what the heck happened, to Mitrice? So unfortunately, 11 months later, in August the following year, California Park, personnel, if you will, they found her remains. They were actually looking for drugs that I guess were planted in that area by the Mexican cartel. They're actually looking for marijuana, and they happened upon her remains. And of course, with that, the coroner's office dropped the ball. This sounds like the police department or sheriff's department, whoever it was, moved the remains, and they weren't supposed to do it. It's not customary that they do it. Then her mom and a couple other people went out to the site just kind of memorializing the site, and they happened upon one of Mitrice's fingers. And so obviously they were freaked out by that, right? And so they called and said, "Hey, what else is up here?" So when they being the coroners and everybody else went up there, they did find more parts of her body. Now, it should be said that her body was found in a mummified state, with no clothes on. So what happened to her clothes, right? And basically, it looks like she was dismembered, from what her mom was saying. And of course, I saw this on a documentary. So of course, there's a lot of unanswered, things that are not answered as to what actually happened to her. Now, originally, one of the jailers there at the sheriff's department was like, "Oh, there is no surveillance, about what happened with Mitrice while she was here," which was a lie, because clearly it was, right? And then on that surveillance, when they saw Mitrice leaving, you saw an officer leave behind her. Now, they said they talked to that officer, and they're like, "Yeah, it was time for me to go. It sounds like he worked 17 hours. So they were saying it was kind of like a coincidence that he left like 2 minutes or so behind her. Nothing's ever been confirmed as to what it really was. All right. So as I was watching this documentary, good old Maxine Waters, she's here, there, and everywhere. She was in this documentary, and this is what she said. I put her parts of the interview together. So here we go.
Of the case leads me to believe they just didn't care about her. She wasn't important. She was just a black girl. That's all. I absolutely believe that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is responsible for what happened to Mitrice Richardson. I believe that they had it within their hands and within their power to keep her safe, and they did not do that.
Okay. Y'all heard her yourself, right? You heard her say she believed that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is responsible for what happened to Mitrice Richardson. Okay. She said that out of her own mouth. Now, this documentary was done a couple of years ago. Now, let's move this conversation to that of Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. Back then, she was the Attorney General for California. Okay. Now, this takes okay, so I'm going to read you what I copied and pasted from an article. Now, this one says, in November of 2015, Mitrice's mentor, Dr. Rhonda Hampton, she was also in the documentary, submitted a 500-page complaint to the AG's office requesting a review of the case. The AG's office responded with a letter denying the request. Your inquiry has been given a careful evaluation by attorney staff who have determined that no formal action is warranted by this office. Said the letter, the records you provided do not create a reasonable inference that the actions of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department or its employees violated the law. Okay. So it also says in the letter, Richardson alleges, let me see here, former Lost Hill Station Captain Tom Martin concealed the evidence. So that's what I was talking to y'all about, the videotape, right? All right. So then her father, Michael Richardson, was like, okay, let me write a letter appealing to that of AG Kamala Harris. And partially of what the letter says, you see, Miss Harris, I look at you and I see Mitrice Richardson. The young woman's father said in his letter, a young, intelligent, smart, black, and beautiful young lady who busted her butt in school to one day become someone who could be helpful and make a difference in people's lives. So he was trying to appeal to the sameness with Kamala Harris and, her daughter, his daughter, because she was going to be a psychologist and all that other stuff as well. Okay. So then it says later, a senior assistant attorney general, Lance Winters, responded to Richardson's letter on January 29th. So I think that was 2015 or 16. And it says, let's see. It says, responded to Richardson's letter on January 29th, notifying the father that the AG's office had decided to look into the LASD's handling of the case, but did not elaborate further. 10 days later, U.S. Attorney Elaine Decker announced that former LASD Sheriff Lee Baca would plead guilty to a felony, a deal that had been in the works for years. Now, mind you, Sheriff Lee Baca was over the sheriff's department, and he was in some funky stuff himself, and he ended up serving Fed time. All right. So later on, I think they said it was like a couple of, let me make sure before I go off and say something that's not true. Let's see. A couple of, I think, weeks later is what it was. They being Kamala Harris's office is like, well, we're going to close the case now. But before that, she had said, oh, as a campaign promise when she was running for the senator of California, oh, we're going to look into it and this, that, and the other. And she even listed it as one of her accomplishments, Mitrice Richardson case, as one of her accomplishments as she was running for a senator, but somehow it got scrubbed from her website. And so they did indeed close the case, basically saying, there's nothing here. We don't see any what the sheriff's department did wrong. Everything they did was, legal, for lack of better words. And so I said, well, ain't that some mess? And because here's Maxine Waters, y'all heard her out of your own mouth saying she believes that the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is responsible for what happened to Mitrice Richardson. But then here she is also endorsing Kamala Harris for the presidency of the United States. So with that, you'll hear how Black women are so important and Black women this, and it's the year of the Black woman, and Kamala's a Black woman. And, of course, Maxine Waters, she's been representative of California since like 91. She's pretty up there in age. She's also told Megan Thee Stallion that, the audacity of WAP and things like that. But I think that Maxine Waters has some explaining to do. How is it that you betray Mitrice Richardson, by saying, oh, yeah, I believe something, they're responsible for what happened to you, but then you turn around and you support Kamala Harris, who basically said, I don't give a F. I don't see any wrongdoing here. And she lied about it when she was campaigning for senator. So I want to hear what you guys got to say. Thank y'all for sitting in with that. I just want to make sure that I gave it the context that I researched. So I'm going to get to you guys' comments. But Donovan?
Hey, you know what? You did a very, very great commentary there. I don't think really I need to add much to it, but I will say this. Kamala was the DA of that incident when it actually happened. And as a DA, if it's an unsolved murder, or if it's an unsolved case, right? I'm sorry, if it's an unsolved case and it's mysterious, they couldn't because of the decomposition of the body. And I mean, if you guys ever get a chance to go research this case or look at the documentaries on it, it is deep. This thing just goes down a rabbit hole, and it's unbelievable the stuff that this family went through. And they went to Kamala and asked her, please help us. I mean, practically begging this woman. And she basically ignored them until it was time to run for AG of California. Then she announced, oh, I'm going to open the case up and we're going to relook at it and stuff like this. Okay, fine. She opens the case up. But because of the mysterious circumstances of this woman's death, why would you adjudicate it to something else? If I was the DA or if anybody else was the DA, as far as I'm concerned, the woman didn't have any clothes on, whatever. The evidence showed that it is possible that this was a murder. Now, the reason why I would have put it as a murder, because there's no statute of limitations on murder. She categorized it as something else and gave the letter to the father and the parents that they could not further investigate, and I'm paraphrasing, because the statutes of limitations had run out. Then she quietly closed the case as she went on to become Attorney General of California. So, man, it's really tough because, we hear all this sister girl stuff. See, and this is where I get upset, Demetra. I get upset when I see these sororos and all these feminists talking about sister girl and all this other stuff. And yet, time and time again, Black women, you got Fannie Willis in Georgia, all these women that have power, but yet we have Black women that are being abducted and missing every day and nothing is done. Even when the people who have the same genitalia as the missing people do nothing about it. But we want to point the blame at men and all this other stuff. But of all things, if you guys are going to learn anything from anybody today, when it comes to Kamala, when a California person is telling you off of their memory about Kamala Harris, believe it. Believe it. Because what happened to this young woman should not happen to any Black woman. And I just want to add this before I close. Kamala Harris, as the Attorney General of California, fought to stop police in California from wearing body cams. Now just think, and I'm just not saying she did this, but what if she was on the national level and proposed the law that says law enforcement can't wear any more body cams? We're getting rid of that, right? We would not have saw the execution of that young Black lady. What was her name again, Demetra?
Sonia Massey.
Sonia Massey. We wouldn't have saw that. Ahmaud Arbery. We wouldn't have saw these things. And I have to go by the facts of what this woman did. You judge a person of what they're going to do in the future by what they've done in the past. I'm not saying they can't change, but that's the only litmus test that you have. We wouldn't be seeing these executions going on by the police department of people that look like us. Now think about this. What as bad as the police department is in California, LAPD, LA sheriffs, whatever other police departments that are out there, Riverside Sheriff, where I live, was notorious back in the 90s. Why would you fight if, as a Black woman, against body cams when time and time again it has proven that, number one, it protects the officer in what they're saying, but it also protects the citizen in what they're saying? Why would you fight against that? So I'm going to leave it right there. You guys tell us what you guys think about this.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the comments and hello to everybody. Yeah, I mean, there's just, and from what I understand, Kamala's supposed to be in Atlanta with Megan Thee Stallion today. I don't know if that's already happened or what, but what is Kamala going to be doing with Megan Thee Stallion? Megan Thee Stallion, you know, for what your opinion may be, one of the filthiest women in the world. One of the filthiest women in the world. And Kamala Harris is going to get up there and do what? She's going to talk about her WAP? What is she going to do? You know, she's going to bust it wide open. What is Kamala going to do up there? You know? But again, that's what Black people get. You get these candidates that go to, you know, obviously she's trying to appeal to younger voters or whatever the case is. I think it's classless, but, you know, whatever. But just taking it back to Mitrice Richardson, who obviously, you know, was having some sort of a mental breakdown or meltdown. And, you know, experts have said from what everybody pieced together from the people from her job, the restaurant, and even in the sheriff's department, they made a comment. One of them said that she was acting ditzy, right? And they said from hearing all of those things from people, sounds like maybe she was suffering from, you know, being bipolar or something like that, right? And it was just undiagnosed. Her family, her mom said there was a few times where she would send text messages and they were just kind of like, what is this, you know? But she says when she would talk to her, it was like a total different conversation. So, you know, clearly she had a mental breakdown, and whatever happened to her at the police department and after she left, it sounds like the police department should have kept her maybe on a 5150 hold. It's a 72 hour hold when somebody seems to not be themselves mentally. It is a code, a penal code in California, where they'll hold a person for 72 hours for the most part against their will, so they can be evaluated to see if they're okay, like if they're a danger or something like that, or do they need to be held. So a lot of that didn't happen. But Maxine, who was, you know, a very Black woman, Kamala, and I see you guys saying stop calling Kamala Black. I don't care if Kamala's green. I don't. And I'm not one of those people to tell people who they are, what they are, you know, for the sake of conversation. Let's say she's Black. But she's saying she's Black now, but yet there's a Black young woman who is no longer here, and Kamala didn't care enough to investigate it. Now, I talked to you guys earlier on the podcast about how Kamala got in a lot of trouble with the police union and a couple of her peers due to an officer who was murdered in 2004 in San Francisco. Isaac Espinosa was his name. She didn't pursue the death penalty for the murder, and people were upset. Dianne Feinstein included. She says she regrets supporting her at all. So, of course, when she's going on to run for the Senate and, Attorney General and things like that, of course, she changes her tune in regards to how her stance on police officers. Like Donovan said, she fought the body cam thing. It said that she rarely, if any, ever held any police officers responsible for harming citizens. So I like I said earlier, I think she learned her lesson. It was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to go a whole different way if I want to achieve certain things. So then on the other side of the conversation, you hear a lot of people talk about, well, Donald Trump, and we're not Donald Trump supporters. I just have to say that because I don't have the energy to argue with silly people today. It's going to be all about blocking if you get too silly. But on one hand, you hear a lot of people say, well, Donald Trump said he's going to give police officers full immunity. Well, what did Kamala give them? What did she give them? Y'all don't ever want to have that conversation. Y'all want to talk about something Donald Trump wants to do, but you don't talk about what Kamala actually did. You don't talk about what Joe Biden did. But y'all want to have that conversation about hypotheticals. And yeah, Donald Trump did say that. But what about what Kamala Harris did?
Can I add into that? Did everybody forget it was Barack Obama that put in the blue code? How many remember that?
Yeah, the blue alert.
The blue alert. See, nobody talks about what the Democrats do. They throw a rock and they hide their hand. Oh, we're not doing nothing to you. But yet, if people would do their research and just go and look this stuff up, you got a smartphone in your hand, for Christ's sakes. Google it. The blue alert gave a form of protection to police officers.
Yeah, with the blue alert basically alerts them if there's a cop pew pew on the loose, and it lets them know, hey, just be on the lookout, because you may be in danger. But Barack Obama, who was said to be the first Black president, even though they say it was Bill Clinton, he didn't issue or make a Black alert to let Black people know, hey, you're in danger. You got some cops out there that's really doing y'all, dirty. Y'all might catch a bad one if you come into contact one of these cops. He didn't issue a Black alert for us, but he thought it was important to protect police officers. But those on the left, the Kamala supporters, they never want to have those conversations at all. And I think it's disingenuous, And yes, CJ says, and she says there's no racism, but yet you got all these highfalutin Black people run around there. On one hand, they'll cry about, oh, they're trying to get rid of DEI, but Kamala says there's no racism. So if y'all are riding with Kamala, she says there's no racism, then why do you care if the right gets rid of DEI? Diversity, equity, inclusion. See, it's a whole bunch of double speaking, and a lot of people don't even know what they're saying. They're just repeating stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Let's see who else came on here. I'm going to skip down if y'all don't mind, so I catch up. And again, I'm going to put the link up for anybody who wants to come on and defend Kamala, not people who want to come on here, tell jokes and all, and talk about other stuff, people who want to defend Kamala, because I'm not going to do this too often. Tanza, how you doing? Says, who cares about Megan Thee Stallion? She ain't nobody. Well, she's been selling out concerts and things like that. So, I don't know if Megan is going to Kamala, if Kamala is going to Megan, but nevertheless, they're going to be together. And I don't know what they're going to talk about. We know that Megan talks about her WAP, and Kamala, maybe they're going to call it the cop and WAP, the cop and WAP meetup. I don't know. I'm still working on the title. All right. Only Pamela's Way, how you doing? Says, how dare that Kamala go to some rapper and discuss anything to do with our community? She didn't do that for the Asian American Pacific Islander neighborhood. Nah, she ain't gonna do that, because they would be like, are you crazy? Get out of here with that. Miss Sweetie says, fact, 72-hour hold at a mental health facility is exactly where the sheriff deputy should have transferred Mitrice. Yes, indeed. Mr. 619, how you doing? Says, who should she endorse? Trump, Well, I mean, I'm just saying, I know that, y'all don't, I don't know if you're being facetious or whatever, but a lot of people don't like to hold the people they are voting for accountable. They would like to hold the other person accountable, but I think that makes Maxine Waters hypocritical, which we're not surprised by that, right? But on one hand, out of side of your mouth, you're talking about how they did, Mitrice so wrong or whatever the case is, but there you are supporting Kamala, who shrugged her shoulders and like, I don't see nothing here. They ain't do nothing wrong. So, if y'all are okay with that, then how do you sleep at night is what I want to know. Let's see who else came on here. KP from KC, how you doing? Says police already have immunity. Yeah, but people acting like they don't. Tell me to see how you doing. Thank you. Beauty with brains, how you doing? Says Kamala's biracial is the best description. My heart is broken by Mitrice Richardson and Sonia Massey. So sad what happened to them. Absolutely, And so far it looks like Sonia is on her way to getting justice. We will never know until the trial, right? Because we've seen this happen before, and then a jury of the cops' peers is like, they shrugged their shoulders like Kamala did and say, I don't see anything wrong. I don't think he's guilty. So we'll wait and see, right? South Carolina, Brad, how you doing? Says, I thought the people vote for the presidential candidate. Will there be a Democratic convention to pick the nominee? Sounds like they've already picked her. There will be a Democratic convention next month. So
can I say something too? Now, wasn't it over a year ago when we started seeing, for ourselves, the decline? Didn't the Republicans say that a switcheroo was going to happen? And I'm not trying to up the Republican Party, but I'm just saying, isn't it kind of strange that it happened exactly like they said it would?
Right. Tonight says blue alert was signed in, I believe, 2015 by Obama. And when he signed it, I said, really, Obama? Yeah, he said it. Absolutely. I'm not going to do nothing for you guys. That was a second term, by the way. So, yeah, y'all look up blue alert. Like they won't tell y'all about that kind of stuff, but they're going to tell y'all, about all the stuff Donald Trump is doing, but acting like Kamala running around with halos on her head. See who else came on here. Hey, Al, how you doing? He says, Rao P, and think maybe a comment cut off. Negroes, it says, so what happens to us that don't want either of them and don't vote, but will be affected by the outcome of other people's choices? What do we do? Well, my thing is, how is you not voting going to change what's going on with you now? Because, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but I hear a lot of people say that, and it's like, y'all acting like we up in utopia right now as Black people. It's like, oh my gosh, if Donald Trump gets into office, this wonderful state of human, being humans here in America is going to change. Oh my God.
Demetra, what have I been saying on this show? I know you and I disagree on it, but I've been saying and I'm just going to prove it. If it's going to take 225 years for Black people to catch up to white wealth, we didn't think about the Asians. It's going to take 225 years to catch up to white wealth. We're at the bottom of the economic system. We have nothing to lose. We are in bad shape, you guys. We're in bad shape. The majority of us, we are in bad shape. However you want to take that.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. What state are we going to be moved from to, whether Kamala or Trump gets into the White House? And ultimately, as they say in the nation, we need to do for self, regardless of who's in the White House, Al, okay, says, so Ralph Warnock is having a Kamala celebration at his church and it's packed. Is Megan Thee Stallion going to be there too? It's going to be Mr. Potato Head with a WAP and a cop. I'm still working on a title. But yeah, that's not surprising to me, And let's see who else came on here, and then I will catch back up, you guys.
I just want everybody to remember this. When you're at the bottom of an economic system, there's nothing to be afraid of. They've taken everything from us. We ain't got no wealth. We ain't got no real wealth. They took our homes. I mean, look at the prices of cars. I mean, some of us can't even go to the grocery store anymore. There's nothing to be afraid of, even if a strong man comes in, because you have nothing to lose, because you have nothing to take.
Right. So, I mean, yeah, just, I don't know. But at this point, I'm going to ask if anybody wants to come on and defend Kamala. It's mighty quiet in here tonight. the other night. It was a lot of people up in here showing their whole behinds. You know what I mean? Defending her. Now I don't see nobody doing it. I wonder what happened to them. Let's see here. Okay, so JW says yes, Kamala will endorse Joshi Shapiro to keep us in line with Middle East foreign policy, a topic for another time. So will she do that? Has it been decided? That's what she will have as her VP, or what are we doing? Negro says she still hasn't mentioned anything about Black people, and everyone is making her a plate. Yeah.
Why? Did you guys see? I think it was 12 days ago that CBC went out and unilaterally endorsed Kamala Harris. Now, remember, I want you guys to remember this. We keep talking about this democracy. Where is the democracy? Not one of you guys voted for this woman to be a presidential candidate. Let's not forget that. That's not democracy. She was selected once again. Nobody voted for her. Nobody.
Yeah, but guess what? Democracy's in danger. And when you say it, all your blood vessels gotta pop out. Well, actually, it's the people who saying it is online, so your blood vessels and your thumbs, they gotta pop out. It's in danger. That's how I envision they acting. Like, golly, calm down. Mr. 619, he says, for the record, my plan was to sit this election out, but T-Romp and his race soldiers kept popping off with their nonsense. So you don't have the ability not to be emotional, because that's what that's saying to me. You allowed them to make you emotional enough to say, I'm going to vote for Kamala, negating her nonsense. And that's pretty much what we're dealing with. People getting in their feelings. See, I think we should be to the point as voters where we're not in our feelings. We are going to the polls logically. And that's how people like Trump and Kamala get into office, because people are emotional. Oh, I just don't like what they said about her. Oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to vote for her. And she got to kick you right in the tailbone after you do it. Y'all ready to come up? So if somebody wants to come up here and defend her, put it in the chat so I'll know to share the link. If not, I won't waste my time. Hey,
Right.
One who cares, how you doing?
Yeah, I want to add real quick. I'm looking at Kamala Harris's website. Not one thing of policy, not one thing of anything. It's just give me money, give me money, give me money. Right now, it says, with your help, Kamala Harris is ready to win this election. More than ever, we need to unite to defeat Donald Trump. How is defeating Donald Trump going to get me from being at the bottom to move up a little bit? There is nothing on her website except donate, donate, donate. She has nothing there. There's nothing. Just send money. That's basically what it is. So I'm asking you guys, go to the website for yourself. Don't just, we say this all the time. Don't just listen to what we say. Research what we're saying. Kamala Harris for president. There is no platform whatsoever there. Nothing that I don't even see how her people that will defend her can really say, because how do you know what the platform is if there's nothing on her webpage?
Yep. And shout out to Brother Phil. He did a master class on it last night about Kamala. Y'all go check out that live feed. It was on fire. It was definitely on fire. Okay. Easy says, when people really internalize, we have nothing to lose, and it shows something will change. We'll see, right? We got to change. William Terry, how you doing? He says, since we've been voting, what has ever changed for Black people? I think you raised an awesome question. Facts, not feelings. How you doing? Says, peace and love. Found the best strategy for Blacks to use while voting is to punish the candidate who does not do for you when you vote for them. I like that. Let's see. JW says, my concern is that Kamala will paper up her group with resources when elected. It's happening already. Oh, yeah, she already did it. Alex says, no matter all the bad Kamala has done, Black people will not care. And Trump mentioned that when he was talking about Christians. Yeah, no, they don't care. I don't care. Valerie says, understand that Republicans and Democrats have the same love for this country, but either neither have much love for Black Americans. Yep. Hey, Corey, how you doing? Says we will always be at the bottom until we change, right? One unique Monique, how you doing? Says Kamala is not deciding her VP. The elite Democrats will decide. Okay. Tonight says I'm not going to go on, and you guys are from California. My question is, who is Kamala Harris? She hasn't gave a well thought out reason why Black voters should vote for her. And guess what? She ain't gonna. She's not gonna do it because Black people aren't asking her to, but damn sure want to know what Trump is gonna do for you. But ain't asked Kamala what you gonna do. Well, what's Trump gonna do? The Republicans don't ever do. But you don't do that to Kamala. You're hypocrites. They say in the nation, the hypocrite is among the worst of the worst because you're unstable.
Right. And let me just paraphrase this. Aren't you supposed to be critical of these candidates? Isn't that your job as a employer, to be critical, to say, okay, where have you been? Where are you going? What is your platform? What are you going to do for me? What can you bring to this company? It's our job to be critical. But what are the Democrats saying? Well, you need to shut up if you're going to be talking about Kamala. You can't say nothing bad about Kamala. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be critical of these people that represent us in these organizations and in these government entities. But the Democrats are telling us, just shut up and dribble the ball. No, I'm the boss. You're not the boss. You want my vote. I'm not looking for your vote. You want my vote. I have to be critical of you.
Right. And Judge says we are ruled by the rich, plutocracies, actually an oligarchy, more than anything. In my opinion, I think we're ruled more by oligarchy, which is also the rich, right? Or, the power makers. They're the ones that's having all the say so. They actually have democracy. You don't. But I get what you're saying, nevertheless. All right, let's see. Yeah, where are the Kamala defenders? I'm looking to see Mike Nice. I mean, not Mike Nice. Mike C. Thank you so much for the donation. Love it. Appreciate you for that. He said the vote for Kamala is a vote for the continuation of Jim Crow Joe's policy on steroids. Yeah, do you think she's going to say, okay, now that I'm in office, I'm going to rip up Joe Biden stuff and I'm going to start over from scratch? You think she's really going to say that?
And then her outright lying to us. I mean, this woman will sit in a camera and lie straight to the camera like she didn't know Joe Biden was in decline. She's now they're trying to whitewash the fact one of the biggest issues between Democrats and Republicans is that border. And now she's talking about she was never the border czar. Even though there's video, if you go to my Facebook page, I put the video up. There is video of Joe Biden appointing her the border czar and also outlining her duties. She failed at that. So you mean to tell me a woman who can't protect our borders, you guys want to be commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States? Can't do it.
Right. Yeah. She was defending the immigrants and all that kind of stuff. But of course, she says, we gonna win. We always win. You better believe it. Tell them again. Lene, how you doing? Says, how is Kamala better than Trump? I'm gonna be wanting to know too, because she's, I don't know, AKA she's got pretty hair. She knows Fife. I don't know, It's the greens. It's got to be the greens. I think we should at least have a sample of the greens before we could say, damn it, she's got my vote, I don't know.
I don't know about you, but anybody that washes their greens in a stank, funky tub, I can't take those greens. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Which is why she don't cook no greens, because anybody know damn well you ain't taking no damn food into the damn bathroom and cooking. There's a toilet in there too. You know what I mean? It's like, girl, stop lying. But then again, I don't know. She might have cooked some greens up in there and then, took the toilet roll brush out of the toilet and swished it around in the toilet with the greens to scrub them off too. I don't know. Corey says, Black people stop being so silly. Please tell them again. Tim, how you doing? He says, hey, Dimitri, you a winner. How many times do you have to be told that the system wasn't designed for you? for you to wake up and we live in a constitutional republic, not a democracy per se. And I agree with you, but they're the ones that saying democracy's in danger. It ain't me. I'm just repeating what I heard, because I'm going to stick out my arm. I'm going to do what the blue wants me to do. And I ain't going to ask no questions.
But let me ask you this, though. Now that you brought that up, they keep talking about democracies at stake, but they have authoritarian ways. They told us to take the jab. They told us to do this. They told us this is your representative. Joe Biden is the leader. They keep telling us this, and yet they're the experts on democracy. At least the Republicans had a primary. They had a primary.
We've got Kamala in the House. Ooh, Kamala, I'm so sorry for talking about you, girl. You know how, girl. You know what I mean? Kamala.
Miss Kamala, isn't that to do for you, man? Anything you need? Some water? Can I get you some water? Anything?
Yes, man. We were just playing. We just playing. What do you mean? No harm, bro. We just up here. This biding the time.
Yeah, we just clowning like black folks be clowning. Ooh, we just, you gonna save us though, Kamala. You gonna save us. We know.
Oh, this is due to a lack of sleep. I'm quite sure, y'all. Anyway, Wild Williams, how you doing? All right, let me skip down a little bit. I don't see nobody say they want to come on here. Brother Don says, can a leopard change his spots? I don't know. We've seen people change the size of their booties, so they might be able to. We've seen what was his name? The baseball player change from
Sammy Sosa. Yeah,
Sammy Sosa.
Got the money, it could be done. That's right.
From chocolate to baking soda. We've seen it.
Yes, and in our country, we got women that will go get a BBL rather than pay their rent. Yes, indeed.
You know what? You brother, keep it right here in the middle, because you Jeffrey Holder. You're doing too much, okay?
Wait a minute. I'm gonna give you guys legitimate reasons why you should support Kamala Harris. It's just plain as day. It's simple. You ready for this, Demetra?
I think so.
She's a woman. That's it. It's time. It's time.
Why are you running, Kamala? It's time. It's time. It's time. Okay. Hey, Frank, how you doing?
And she's a woman. That's the only qualification she needs. She was vice president. She's a woman. That's all you need to know. Vote for her because she's a black woman. Vote for her. That's it. Don't worry about her past. Don't worry about anything of that. Don't worry about, anything, how she got started, and don't worry about any of that. She's a woman. That's all you need to know. You black men need to sit down and shut up and get behind these black women and take orders. Damn right. That's why.
You know what? I think I'm going to vote for her after all. I kind of like that. You forgot she's a black woman with a tub full of greens. That's got to count for something. Leslie, you know what? So she light skinned. Listen, see, me and you here. I'm going to tell you why me and you here, because I've been having that conversation with people over the last couple of days. And I really think you're on to something. I think it is colorism, because they see Kamala as light skin with the pretty flowing hair, and she's, y'all know how we get down in our community, the lighter, the writer, because my thing is this, y'all work with me here. Okay. Y'all work with me. Picture this. Yeah. Van Jones, right? He's on the news and he says, as black men, we ain't gonna put up with y'all disrespecting. I said disrespecting Kamala Harris. We just won't put up with it. Okay. New scene. Well, let's change out Kamala for Stacey Abrams. Did y'all see that reaction? Okay. Here we go. Another scene. Van Jones. Well, Stacey Abrams is capable. She can handle herself. She said she don't. Well, what would we look like trying to tell a woman, that we don't need to mansplain things for women? big old dark-skinned Stacey Abrams with the short Jerry curl, she gonna be all right. Come on, end scene. Y'all know I'm not lying. That Stacey Abrams would have got a whole different protection. She looked like she could protect us. Listen, I'm acting, okay? I'm acting. It's a script. You beat her with brains. He said, right. Okay, Simo, 27, how you doing? Said she thought she was slick with that one. I've never heard of anyone cooling greens in the tub. I guess she was, cleaning greens. That's what she was supposed to be doing. Easy said, that's a lot of greens for just her and Mr. Untouchable. She says, well, everybody was requesting my greens. I just couldn't make enough of them. Now, anybody know they made some damn greens? It don't take you 5 minutes to make no greens, okay? You got to let them things simmer, you know? But she was acting like she just kept running out and just running to the bathtub with a bucket and just throwing them up in the pot and letting them boil for 5 minutes, and everybody was just crunching on greens, you know? It's crazy. Tanza says, I don't want no sample of no nasty greens she washed in the tub.
Well, since we're talking about greens, what she's not telling you is, because she's, not, she doesn't really identify as a black, with black culture. Let me say that. She's a black woman. She doesn't identify with black culture. When she says greens, she means golf course greens. She don't get the greens that we're supposed to. It's the golf course greens. And Doug, her husband, loves it. He loves those. He doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, he probably, I'm not eating them. And my thing is, her husband is Jewish. They don't eat ham or pork. Kamala, what is you putting in the greens? Ragnar, how you doing? Says the fix must be in. Hillary couldn't beat Trump, but Kamala, whom received no votes, can. Amazing. They must think we're stupid. Yeah. How does that even work?
Well, Ragnar, think about this. They're even talking about a woman ticket, maybe floating Hillary as vice president or bringing in Michelle Obama. I mean, like a woman ticket. Now, don't get me wrong, ladies. I'm not saying there are not no qualified women, but if you want to lose, that's the ticket to have.
And like I said, people ask me all the time, who do you think is going to win? We won't know until the election is over because we just won't, right? Jay says she's a ham, a hot ass mess. The average logical thing says I'm voting for her because her laugh is infectious. People should laugh more. Yeah, it's like infectious, like crabs that I've never had before.
I want you to go listen to the laugh of a African hyena and compare. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Compare the laughs.
Right. I'm looking for anybody who said they want to come on here. I'm just scrolling down, and I don't. Also, for the fact not feeling she putting some turkey necks up in there. And where did she get them from? The basement, the boiler room. I don't know.
I have an issue with that. You mean to tell me she's taking Air Force 2 and flying to that all over the country just to get some greens, just to go back to make it for Doug? You know how much it costs for that plane to operate on a daily basis?
And Kamala, he says the Atlanta rally was intellectually insulting, literally getting performers to take over for votes, policy over celebrity. Yeah, I mean, Malcolm X warned us about them, decades ago. What can Megan Thee Stallion really tell you? She's talking about her coochie all the time.
All the female rappers are saying the same thing, same stuff. Remember, she went to that record store and pulled out an album, and the jazz album. It's great, but I hate when the reporters don't give her follow-up questions and really challenge her. Well, could you name us any other Roy Ayers song since you're such a Roy Ayers person? I mean, whoever is telling her, it's kind of like that white lady that was her manager or something when she ran for president. Remember that she was like dancing to Cardi B. Look, it's like the pandering is just, it's too much. It's too much. And for you sisters to let this stuff go on, it just tells me what these sororities are about. And I'm not saying they're not good sororities. I'm saying it just gives me an idea, somebody who didn't go to a HBCU, what the hell is going on over there?
Right. Odd Negroes official you says the only one that wants reparations for us is Marianne Williamson. How come we're not backing her? I mean, I think Marianne Williamson's heart is in the right place. She's a spiritual advisor. She was a spiritual advisor to Oprah and a couple other people. I think when she first came out with it, right? I think it was 2016 when she started to run. She was talking about what was it, Donovan, like $10 million for reparations or something. Something like, I don't know, it was cute theory, but it was like, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I think it was something like $10,000 per FBA person. It was really low. It was a really no. It didn't even. Economic experts say the minimum that Black people are owed, the minimum Black people are owed is $17 trillion. 17 trillion, and we're not talking about people who just have black skin. We're talking about if we're 13 or 14% of the population, cut that in half. That are FBA, 17 trillion as a minimum. That's a lot of money.
Right. Unique Monique, it says those vinyl records were given to her by a collector. Yeah, Brother Phil actually showed the clip, and yeah, she was talking about, oh, it's actually my favorite. And I'm like, well, your favorites, don't you have an album of it already? Damn, you 100 years old, and you just now getting your favorite, vinyl. And I'm one of those people that buys vinyls. I know Donovan buys vinyls. My daughter buys vinyls, so it's not unusual for people to buy them as collector's item. Donovan has them, hung up throughout his house. And I actually like it. I say, you know what? When I get the house of my dreams, if that ever happens, I'm going to copy him. And I'm going to do the same thing because I actually like that, So, but yeah, why you just not getting them, Kamala? Just up there lying. Okay, let's see. JW says, no, Marianne Williamson is not for reparations, a false flag. Also, she's actually not. Yeah, Mike, see, Marianne Williamson does kind of seem a little loopy, Daryl says, why don't we see decent Black people showing up at the get-together today and protest against it? It's just like, for what? For what? We don't like it. We know we don't like it. Megan Thee Stallion doesn't speak for, I would say, the average voter. I think or let's say a logical voter. I don't think she speaks for us. There's nothing Megan Thee Stallion could say to me, but that's the only thing I could even like know her for is whopping, sticking her tongue out. But other than that,
what is also that case that she was caught lying in, and put a guy in jail for 10 years.
I don't want to get that started because Lord, everybody knows that it's divided upon that. Okay, so let's see. Yep, the no voting, no fucking thing. I'm sure they're gonna dust off Saucy Santana and Trina, to talk to us about not screwing your dude if he doesn't go vote. Ragnar says, Dimitri, you still have a record player. Kids today don't know what that is. You know what? I personally don't have a record player. My daughter had one, but it broke. But we just like collecting the vinyls. They're interesting, right? But oh yeah, back in the day, yeah, of course, 45s. My first 45 was level 42. The first one I bought myself, the first one that was purchased for me was a Christmas present from my brother Walter, which was Lionel Richie All Night Long. That was the first 45 vinyl that I got that I can remember. Of course, my brother Walter, he's a big vinyl connoisseur as well. I remember one of the first ones that he got was Saturday Night Fever, and that Negro, whoa, that damn album.
Stylus out, huh? He wrote that Stylus out.
Which is why I know that it's one of my favorite albums because of it. He also had the 45, the Heat Wave, and he wore that
out. Well, remember Off the Wall when that came out? Boy, we wore that album out when Off the Wall came out. Man.
Yeah, so I love albums. They're very nostalgic. I got Switch and the Barge in my room, the vinyl.
Of course you do.
All right, so let's see here. Let me skip on down. Oh, did I get to the bottom? I did. Valerie says, Kamala up there right now, still supporting that immigration reform madness that does nothing for Black Americans. Nope, nobody want to talk about that. But again, since we're only going to be on here a couple more minutes, you know, Maxine doesn't care about Mitrice Richardson. Kamala, she's already proven she doesn't care about her. That, like, as her mother said and her father, you know, they're still very heartbroken, obviously, right? You have a daughter who had her whole life in front of her, who was having a mental crisis. She's no longer here, you know, and all they got was shoulder shrugs.
Yeah, and I believe that they settled the case for $450,000, something like that. It was really minute, but the point was the settling of the case didn't end the case. The case is still unsolved to this very day. It's still unsolved.
Yeah, and you know, as her family said, she didn't wander. So I think ultimately found her body several miles away from where she was at the police station. Said she didn't walk there. She didn't fall in this ravine, whatever it was, take her clothes off and dismember her own body. And they also said that the clothes was found in a duffel bag, you know. I don't know if it was found a couple of days or so after. It sounds like it was, don't quote me. But they're like, she didn't do this to herself. But Kamala feels like there's nothing here. You know, the police department is not complicit. We know Sheriff Lee Baca did go do some time for lying. We know that the LA Police Department, Sheriff's Department, they have been caught up in nonsense since their inception.
Gang activity is big in the LA Sheriff's Department, and it's still there. They're still trying to weed it out.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies is LA Confidential, and it talks about it even back to the 30s. The just evilness of the LA, you know, law enforcement. You know, Rampart Division is one of them. In the 90s, they got caught up with gang activity, setting people up, murder, you name it, all of it. You know, so here we are to think that somehow they've changed over a new leaf, and you know. And they're not doing things they're not supposed to be doing. Now, if you ask me, and I'm not an expert, so don't quote me on this. This is just my unprofessional opinion. We can see Mitrice is a very beautiful girl. You know, if you ask me, I think, you know, she was in there. They may or may not have done something to her while she was in there. I don't know. She left out of there. My unprofessional opinion, just an opinion. I think somebody in there did do something to her. Think because you're naked, we know usually what that means when they find the body naked. Think they, you know, sexually assaulted her. Because I'm saying because we don't know who it was. I think they did that to her and covered their tracks because they said they don't believe that she was actually murdered where they found her. They believe maybe her body was moved there. So I believe that somebody within that sheriff department knows what happened to her, and I think that they did it. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, if you really think about these latest killings, especially that girl recently, think about it. These guys know their body cameras on. Do you guys know what this called? And I'm not a gang member or anything like that, but I was in the military, which is a gang in itself. Okay, you know, we're going to support military. You know, you guys that were in the military, you guys know how it is. I got my back, you got your back. We're going to back each other up, right? These paramilitary police organizations. I would describe this as a ritual deleting. You know, to get into the gang, they have to do certain things because here's what's going to happen with that girl that just got deleted. Everybody's upset, right? Notice there's no outcry. There's no big outcry because what it is it makes the Democrats look bad when you have all of this turmoil going on during the election season. At the end of the day, they're going to sweep this officer under the rug. They're going to find a way to get him off. That was a ritual deleting. And I keep seeing this stuff over and over again. And so do you guys. It makes no sense how I know my body camera is on. This woman is not a threat to me. This person is not a threat. If somebody has some hot water, you just back away. if it's hot water. It's just water. You can't tell me that wasn't a ritual deleting. And we let this stuff go on and on and on. And we keep putting in these ghouls, I'm going to call them ghouls, as representatives that don't follow up, don't get accountability or anything like that. And this is what we do on a constant basis, on a constant cycle.
And I'm going to say put allegedly on what Donovan is saying, because we don't want anybody to, hold it, because we don't actually know if that's what it is, but I get where he's going with it. There's nothing that's unbelievable when it comes to the police department, because of course we've been taught, they're, to protect and serve and they're here to help. But not too many Black people in America have that story about the police. Have there been some that have been helpful? Sure. But our history with the police, not even just, here in America, rather, our history with the police, the inception of that was slavery. And they've never changed their minds of how they think about us. And just kind of thinking about it too, especially with the police department there in Los Angeles. We know that Gavin Newsom is very big on allowing everybody to come over there. And, and we've seen this for a while now, that the police department, the sheriff department is predominantly Hispanic. And we see and have seen how they have dealt with Black people. I tell you guys about my father, who was 80 years old. And even as of recently, he was, pulled over by the police in question for a half an hour. It said, you have a warrant in San Bernardino. My dad is 80. It's like, I'm an old man. What would I be doing in San Bernardino? Clearly they were messing with my dad, but my dad has dealt with that his whole life, and the officers were Hispanic. Right. So also tie Kamala Harris to that. She's all right with the open borders. Donovan says she was over the borders, and she was right there lockstep with Biden opening the borders, and talking about defending, immigrants and this, that, and the other.
And giving them all the resources they need.
Yeah. So what they'll do is come in and get those jobs at the police department, the sheriff's departments, and then they'll rule over you because they don't see you as important as Black people either. Because as my dad told me a long time ago, he says, especially when they were coming to America, starting to migrate for real over here, they are the new, let's say, N-word, and they don't want to be that. And so they're going to work to become above us. And then they are going to assert their given authority over Black people. And we are seeing that to this day. And that's your girl, Kamala. That's all right with that taking place. So just want to kind of throw that out there. Kelly Goodman, how you doing? Says, I didn't see that. Okay, let's see. So Donovan, in closing, what do you have to say? I didn't see anybody who said they want to come on here. Okay, hold on a second. I got 3 hands. How you doing? Says the officer's wife was her nurse. Oh, really? Okay. That's interesting. See, I didn't hear that part of it. Sister Shirley, how you doing? Says police are here to protect the rich and their property. You better tell it. Watkins, how you doing? Says, if I were Daniel Cameron, the Republican Attorney General of Kentucky, Democrats would be calling him a sellout, but they let Harris off the hook. You better go to the highest mountain and tell somebody. That's what you better do. Easy says, D, I know for this for a fact, higher up government will cover for local government despite wrongdoing. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And then Kamala, he says, also Chinese spies are infiltrating police departments in the U.S. So they say, right? Frank says, y'all see the Mexican cop slap the brother in Watts? I did see that.
Yeah, it was a punch. It was a straight punch, and that's what you're seeing.
Handcuffed.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing here in California a lot. The majority of your police department now are Hispanic, and so basically the Hispanics now are putting themselves above us, and they're the ones that are, assaulting us in real time.
Yep. You're absolutely right, Monica. You said her people owe her a vote because they're the one that's getting something. Absolutely. Only Pamela, he says, 80, and they know your father didn't have anything being the demonic devils. Yeah, just going to harass an old guy, but that's what they do. So they still exact terror. Kamala doesn't have a problem with it. Biden doesn't have a problem with it. Trump doesn't have a problem with it. But here we are still as Black people trying to argue over who's going to be the better massa that's going to keep us safe. And the answer is neither one of them going to keep us safe. And don't you for a minute think that Kamala is not a massa. Kamala, y'all think that Trump's policies are going to be bad? You think Biden's policy is going to be bad? Kamala's got something to prove because she's going to be the first Black woman potentially president. You think she's going to get up in there and we're going to see her do the switcheroo like you've never seen before, and everybody is going to be in trouble.
I have to disagree, because I happen to know Kamala is going to get in there and give us the Black crime bill to make us, be protected. We're going to get a protection bill, because I just know, because she's a Black woman and she knows our struggle. Nobody knows the struggle of the community than a woman, because a woman is a nurturer. She's the mother of the earth. The women know. So she knows what we need as a mom. Okay. She knows we need deletion power to delete our kids. We need to lock up all of these super predators. She knows what we need so that we can be safe. So I have no doubt that on day one, when she gets in there, and they've asked her that question, what are you going to do on day one? She said, I'm going to do this for the migrants. I'm going to do, she was saying that in the last election cycle. Day one, she's going to get us a Black protective crime bill. Believe it.
You better quit with the lies. Okay. And Ari says Megan Thee Stallion and Takeoff bootlicking at Harris campaign in Atlanta. Wasn't Takeoff. Takeoff, unfortunately, was murdered out here in Houston a couple of years back. I think it was Offset, if I'm not mistaken, part of the Migos, the rap group. So yeah. Anyway, I didn't see anybody want to come on here. This is just odd.
Dimitri, please talk on that, because we're giving them this platform so that they can get some of your listeners and watchers to maybe change their mind and vote for Kamala, and do all these things, and yet they don't seem to show up.
As I said, I'm blocking them. If they show up one more time on any of my stuff, I'm blocking they Black asses. I'm gonna block them with all the muscles in my blocking finger. I am, because I'm tired of them. I put up with you last election season and all that, whining you was doing. And I'm gonna tell you another thing.
Give him time.
Give him time to kiss my. Never mind. But listen, I'm a lady. Okay. You can ask anybody who has known me from a child. Okay. I've never buckled to peer pressure. Peer pressure does nothing for me or does nothing to me. I've never been a weak-minded person. I never let anybody bend my mind away from what I believe to be right. I never was that person. I told you all the time, when the neighborhood kids wanted to go play hide and go get it, I knew what that was. I was probably like 11, 12, 13. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to play. And I ran my ass right in the house. Talking about, where did you go? In the house. You wasn't finna be doing nothing nasty to me. So I say all that to say, you people who are probably watching but are too scared to say something because I'm going to ask you to bring your ass up here or I'm going to block you, you're not going to change my mind, because you haven't given me anything to change my mind. You haven't told me what Kamala's going to do for me as a Black American. You haven't explained any of the stuff that she has done to Black people or anybody else, but you surely can stand on the nearest soapbox in the town square and talk about all the stuff that Trump is doing, wants to do, and has done, but you hush mouth when it comes to Kamala Harris, and you browbeat me over the internet, and I put up with it last year. I thought it was funny. I don't think it's funny no more. That you're so silly, and opposed to really just getting out there and having a good conversation, you rather come on my post and act silly. But like I said, I'm blocking your ass. And you're going to have to make some extra pages, because I know you like me. You can't stand to not see me. I get it. Me and Donovan are dope and dynamic individuals. I would be afraid not to see us too. But what you will not do on my page is bully us, because at this point, that's what it is, bullying. And I'm not afraid of no bully, because if we was toe to toe, it'd be a whole different story. But I already know you wouldn't have nothing to say no damn way. Run around talking about y'all Trump supporters and just say you're Trump supporters. Now, as I said, and if I was, what you gonna do about it? Absolutely nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing about it but bump your thumbs. That's all you're gonna do. But guess what? You ain't gonna be bumping your thumbs on my stuff too much longer because you're gonna be out of here. So anyway, Diane, how you doing? Yeah, just hey Jason, says salute to Demetra and the recovering Democrat. Yes. So anyway, we're gonna get out of here, but we're gonna move on to greener pastures, not like going up beyond there, I don't think. But we're gonna really start driving the point home about Kamala, because as I said this the other day, Donovan and I are not new to this. We ain't bandwagoners. Donovan and I was telling somebody this the other day. Said Donovan got that technical political experience. Like that's what he does. He's a political junkie. I have the common sense political knowledge. You know what I mean? So when you combine both of us together, your ass is in trouble. Okay? You're in trouble. And I don't toot our horns enough, and I'm going to start doing that. Donovan and I are good at what we do. And one thing that Donovan and I do not do on purpose, we might say some things that are not true, not on purpose. And if we, are called to the carpet, we say we're wrong. But what we will not do and do not purposely do is try to mislead people. We try to have both sides of the conversation, because Donovan and I, Brother Phil, and some other people out there, we are amongst some of the rarest people that can have both sides of the conversation. See, we can all speak to both sides of, yeah, Trump has got this going on, and Kamala and Biden's got this going on. We're not really one-sided, but y'all not going to bully us into voting blue no matter who. Y'all not going to do it, okay? You not. We are unmovable.
And I just want to add before we go to Kamala Harris's page, and I put it in the chat, and check it out, because there's nothing there other than give me money. There is no platform. So why are you going to vote for a person that doesn't even have a platform? We don't know what she stands for. So go check it out when you guys get a chance.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to get out of here. We love and appreciate y'all. We will be back. Donovan and I are on this like white on rice. We are not going to let this go, because there are people like Mitrice Richardson's family who deserves to have their story put out. We're going to continue to try to meet as many people as we can and find their stories and talk about how they have been affected by Vice President Kamala Harris when she was over the state of California as far as Attorney General, and when she was in San Francisco as a DA. We're not going to let their stories go unheard by the loud mouth ass Democrat shills who are so silly to where they don't know they silly. But I'm going to remind them by blocking their ass. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. As always, we have ways to donate to the channel. In the meantime, we'll see y'all tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central Time. Peace.